This is an NEC NP03LP lamp. It's almost identical to NP06 and NP09. The difference in all of them is actually the connector. I'll move this up close so you can see it, but there's a notch right here in the connector. Now on the other lamps, this notch is either here or it's in the middle. Now the aftermarket models don't have this notch at all. It's just a straight line right here, and that's really what you want. Now if you have one of these older projectors, the NP43 NEC projector takes one of these, and a lot of times you can't get the NP03 OEM anymore. So always check your aftermarket to make sure there's no notch here. There shouldn't be. If there is, that might be why your lamp isn't fitting. Now if you want, one thing you could do is take the connector from your old lamp and install it on the new one. The way to do that is pretty easy. There's 4 screws that need to come out. I'll show you. It's the 2 on the side. This one. Set that there. Actually, use that little cap. Keep the screws. I don't want it falling over. And then this side. Let's take that out. Now those 2 sides go to these spring clips. You can kind of see there and there, but just take them off. Put them together. Then you can kind of feel this getting loose, but there's still 2 more screws. The one behind the connector, and then the one opposite the connector. And you can tell them apart. You can see here the screws that go in the metal have fine threads, and the screws that go in the plastic have coarse threads. And once those are out, this top half, just kind of wiggle and pull, it'll slide up. It's got a tab here that drops down in front of the connector, but just wiggle and pull straight up, it'll come off. And then we can see the bulb. So then you want to hold the connector, and you can drop the bottom off. This can sometimes pop loose depending, so just kind of keep an eye on that screen. Then we can look at the bulb itself, and this is where I say you can move the wire. So what I would do, you shouldn't need to mark these because you can see how short the wires are. They're going to go in the same place. So the short wire connects to the wire that goes into the back and into the ignition coil on the front, and then the other wire goes to the return, we'll say. So this is hot and that's return. So then you just take these screws out and connect it to the new bulb. So we'll take those out, and now the bulb should just lift up like that. Now this bulb is perfectly good. This whole lamp is perfectly good. So I'm going to put this back together like it's a new bulb. But one of the things I wanted to show you is one of the important and annoying features of this lamp. There's a little hole right there. That hole goes into that tube. That tube goes into the lamp, and this is how the projector cools the tip of the bulb. These get really hot. Right here. Oh, there we go. That tip gets really hot, and you need air blowing across this tip. If you have a projector where the wire burns off, it's because you're not getting enough air across the tip of the bulb to keep that connection cool. So what NEC did is is they designed a gasketed air source, I guess, a little blower thing. So in this particular projector, there's actually a replaceable air pump, they call it, that originally would come with the OEM lamps when you'd buy them. And that air pump ends up connecting to this thing. Let me get that washer back in. So this actually connects to a spot in the projector that blows air into here. Usually there's a little screen filter. I don't see that in this one, but that's fine. You can see that hole down in there. Let me see if we can see any light. A little bit. See down? You can see a little bit of light coming through. See if I have a flashlight. Yeah, all right. Now you can see it. So that light is where the air comes out. You can see it better right there. So the air goes in, comes out through that little hole. And if you see where it's positioned, that would blow air right at the tip of the bulb. So it keeps that tip cool. It's very critical. In fact, as far as I know, every DLP projector has some sort of bulb tip cooling. A lot of lamps will have the vents on the side that direct the air to cool the tip of the arc tube. This was NEC's method, and I'll tell you, it's very unreliable, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of these have issues that ended up being problems with the holes not being big enough for the air to come out of. On OEMs too, believe it or not. So, back to the bulb. We put the new bulb in. So we'll get this connector ready. Wait, do I have, is it this way? And then, no, it must be this way. Yeah, that looks right. There we go. So that clips on there. That kind of clips around the bulb. Then we get our connector. And we'll get screw 1. We'll just get it started. And then we'll get screw 2. Now, you read about not touching bulbs, and that's it's very true to a degree. I am actually not touching the bulb right now. I am touching the reflector. The bulb, oops, knocking that washer off again. The bulb, in this case, is really that thing in the center. This part, that's the arc tube. That globe down there is where the light is actually created. The wires that we connected take power in, so electricity comes in through that wire. Yeah, goes in to the tip of the bulb right there, and then it goes down. Then it goes down into where the arc tube is, and then there's the gap between. When the bulb is started, there's a high voltage pulse, 8,000 volts or so, and this wire causes the arc to start. Then, once the arc is started, this becomes the neutral or output. So, power goes in here, it comes out here. So, essentially, you have hot and neutral. It's not positive and negative because this is AC, not DC. So we will take our bulb, we'll set it back in. We'll put that clip back on again that I meant to put on, or that I put on before, that I should have waited before I showed you guys the bulb. if you do this, I would recommend not taking this clip off if you can help it. It's kind of a hassle to get back on. You have to line the hole up. Oops, there we go. Line the hole up. There we go, like that. That's good. Then we're essentially reversing the process. This goes on the bottom. You can see that plastic clip goes over there, and that one goes over there, and then it goes in between the vents like that. So the bottom's on. Then we're going to take the connector on the side, slide that down. You'll see the connector's keyed, big side, little side. It's only going to go one way. Makes it easy. Then we take the top, slide the top on. Just kind of hold everything. I have to get it around there. Maybe this goes on last. I don't know. I don't even know what that thing really does. Because this is all tight and it goes down, snugs up. And then we get our screws. Put our connector screw in first. I like to put these in because this will hold the housing together and make reinstallation of those side clips a little easier. So they're the first thing to come off and the almost last thing to go back on. In our case, the last thing to go back on is going to be the washer for the air. So then we take we'll take one of the side clips and they just kind of push on. Here, I'll show you. See? Then if it's not quite straight, just use your screwdriver to kind of push it over. Here we go. It was one side. And then the other side. Alright, so they're all back in. And then the very, very last thing will be that rubber washer. There we go. And that's it. That's all there is to it. I will wipe the lens down on the front that has the IR block filter. You can see that red. That's the IR UV block. If you ever do that and it's green, it's not the right coating. So that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments. If you have a lamp of your own you have questions about, feel free to let me know. Be happy to answer any question you have about lamps. And as always, thank you for watching.